Israel is a country of refugees, a country founded by refugees, and yet there was no real expertise or understanding in refugee law, especially because Jews who go to Israel are by definition not refugees. They're coming home, so to speak. There weren't that many countries engaged in the negotiation of the Refugee Convention in 1951, but Israel was one of them because one of the primary functions of the Refugee Convention was to deal with the problem of displaced persons in Europe. Israel signed the convention but never passed any legislation to actually implement it. So there were no laws in place. They relied on the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to advise how to treat refugees and how to treat asylum seekers, but they never felt it necessary to actually pass any laws because their numbers were just so small. It just wasn't an issue for Israel until 2006.
So we have to pay for the we have to contact first the smugglers, then we have to pay them money for them so as to take us to Libya across the Sahara Desert.
And then we moved from Sinai to Israel to cross the border on foot. And there were the Egyptian soldiers on the border, and they killed people. If they knew that you are crossing the border, they started to shoot you. And we came at night, we crossed the border, but it was very, very difficult. But finally, we succeeded to come to Israel.
My name is Kidane Isa from Eritrea. I left Eritrea 5 years ago. So like everybody, they gave us a bus ticket to Tel Aviv, and then we came here to the Gandabask Park. In the park there are many refugees who doesn't have any work, who doesn't have any shelter, and they spend their night and their life in that park. Nobody talks about it, you know. So this is the most difficult moment of our life in Israel.
זה מאוד מרגש, זה מאוד קשה. זה גדול על אנשים פרטיים, כל הדבר הזה. אני לא יודעת כמה זמן נצליח למשוך את ההתנדבות הזאת. בימים הקשים של החורף היה לנו מאוד מאוד קשה. אנשים ישנו פה מתחת לשקיות ניילון. באו רק עם חולצות מעילים, ניסינו לתת צמיחות, ניסינו לתת קצת ציוד. זה מאוד קשה. אנחנו מעט אנשים יחסית למדינה שיש לה יותר כוחות. נדמה לי שהמדינה לא כל כך מתגייסת לעניין הזה.
The asylum seekers who were coming in were referred to as infiltrators or as economic migrants, never as asylum seekers, certainly never as refugees. And this constant drumbeat of referring to them as infiltrators and that using that word over and over again can't help but prejudice society against them. Israeli society is naturally sympathetic to refugees because of Jewish culture, of Jewish values, and certainly because of the Jewish experience, particularly during the 20th century of repeated and mass displacement. Official from the UN High Commissioner for Refugees reported to duty. He told me, this is such a wonderful place. While Israel has its problems, at least there's not any xenophobia, and unfortunately that is no longer really the case.
את יודעת מה ההבדל בין הכלב הזה לבינם? שהכלב הזה מתקלע.
The only way that you're going to be able to meet the challenge of asylum seekers coming into Israel, and it is a challenge, It is something that's going to be difficult to contend with, but which Israel has an obligation to contend with. But the only way to contend with it is to actually call it for what it is, which is an influx of asylum seekers. Whether they're all legitimate or not, you can't determine until you actually have a system in place to decide that, but you have to call the problem what it is. It's not an influx of infiltrators.